Microphone check. Okay. Does that sound like it was my fault? Don't I did stand up here and don't do anything at all except just talking to the microphone? How was lunch? Was it good? And those joining us online, how was lunch? I hope it was good as well. I hope you actually had time to eat. One of the things with working from home and doing what we do is sometimes we work. How many of us have worked a little bit more working from home? Somebody in the audience said little bit. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. You wake up in the morning, you're on your phone at 7 o'clock in the morning answering emails, and then right after that, you are doing something else. You don't have time to eat breakfast sometimes, and then all the way until you're sleeping again, you're working still. Can we have a insurance policy for that? What you say, Cher? Something, I don't know. Or some of us are eating all day. Oops. And we're asking our clothes to forgive us when we're ready to go back to work. All right, so we're welcome to the second half of our conference on International Conference on Inclusive Insurance 2021, the Jamaican Perspective. We had great sessions this morning, right? Give another round of applause, please, to our presenters this morning. Really thought-provoking, some really great sessions this morning. We're going into our second half now. Dirk in Munich, it's not quite midnight, but he'll be with us all that time. I hope our Indonesian family is still online with us as well. But right now, I'm going to introduce to you, by the way, my name is Alicia White. I have been your moderator since this morning. We're going to go now to a virtual presentation by Andre Guandu. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Andre is here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Andre Guandu. He is the CEO and MD at Kuna Caribbean. He'll join us via Zoom, and he will take questions immediately following his presentation, and then he'll be followed by Mr. Robin Levy, CEO of the Jamaica Credit Union League, who is here with us. How are you doing, Robin? Good to see you again. And he will also take questions immediately following his presentation. Remember, the way to ask questions, raise your hand if you're in the audience with us, or you can pose your questions via Zoom and I'll read them for you. Over to you, Andre.
Good afternoon. Can I have a thumbs up if you're seeing me? If you're hearing me, sorry. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Trust you all had a hearty lunch, and I'd like to start by responding to our host, an insurance policy for working from home. Sorry, I can't think of anything, but there is a policy for eating a lot, being stuck at home, and, needing to get that close to fit. It's called a gym. So Alicia, I recommend a gym for all of those who may be so challenged. But listen, it's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. I think this is a wonderful conference, given the nature, given that we are talking about the underserved, reaching people who sometimes may be not otherwise reached. And I think at CUNA Caribbean, we do have a model that I believe allows us to reach quite a large demographic. And as indicated, this is actually in partnership with the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League and my colleague, Mr. Robin Levy. And I can do it either way. I can take questions after, we can have Robin present, and then we jointly have questions, because you may find some overlap in our presentation. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Now, CUNA Caribbean Insurance is part of the Global CUNA Mutual Group, and we work very closely with credit unions. Now, when we think of credit unions, sometimes we think about the credit union down the corner, around the corner, COK and Montego Bay, etc., etc. Credit unions are part in Jamaica are part of a global network of credit unions that spans approximately 118 countries with over 86,000 credit unions active. So it's really part of a huge network with a strong system supporting credit unions. So credit unions in Jamaica has a lot of international support, and CUNA Caribbean, CUNA Mutual is actually part of that. To share a little bit about, what credit unions are, the founding, the methodology, I would like to invite you to join me in this journey about the founding of credit unions.
Alphonse Desjardins brought the credit union idea to Canada and helped establish the first credit union in the United States.
I have seen the great concept of Estes Park come to beautiful fulfillment.
I am happy to participate in dedicating Filene House, the international headquarters of the Credit Union National Association.
And when we pass this bill, every American will have a right to join credit.
America's credit unions are said to have found their roots in Rochdale, England, when, in 1844, a small group of economically oppressed textile weavers united and formed the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers. The society elected officers, sold shares, and opened a cooperative store that sold household goods to members at fair prices. These principles for cooperative business provided the fundamentals for the first financial cooperatives, or credit unions. Friedrich Wilhelm Raiffeisen and Hermann Schultz-Delitzsch are credited with establishing the first cooperative associations and lending societies in Germany. Their efforts led to Raiffeisen's forming the first truly cooperative credit society in 1864. The credit union movement crossed the Atlantic to Canada, where Alphonse Desjardins, a debate recorder for the Canadian House of Commons, helped create North America's first credit union, La Caisse Populaire de Lévis, the People's Bank of Lévis, in 1900, and the North American Credit Union Law in 1906. In 1908, the movement migrated to the United States, where the textile workers of Manchester, New Hampshire were being denied safe places to save money and access to reasonably priced credit. Concerned about his parishioners' well-being, Monsignor Pierre Evie of St. Maurice Parish called upon Alphonse Desjardins and established St. Mary's Cooperative Association, the nation's first credit union. Attorney Joseph Boivin volunteered as its first president and housed the association in his own home. Financial equality for all Americans had begun. It was in Boston where legislative action for the nation's credit unions first took place. Concerned with the growing problem of loan sharking, Pierre Jay, the state's first banking commissioner, and a group of credit union activists drafted and helped pass the Massachusetts Credit Union Act of 1909. One of the activists was Edward A. Filene, a multimillionaire who is credited with establishing the movement in the United States. In 1917, Filene organized the Massachusetts Credit Union Association and hired attorney Roy F. Bergengren as its manager in 1919. Less than a year later, Filene used more than $1 million of his own money and organized the Credit Union National Extension Bureau. By 1930, the Bureau had assisted 32 states in passing credit union legislation and organized 1,100 credit unions. The most prolific organizer was Thomas W. Doig, who helped establish more than 1,000 credit unions during his career. During the 30s, as thousands of banks fell victim to the Great Depression, credit unions thrived. It was time for national legislation. And on June 26, 1934, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Federal Credit Union Act into law, establishing the Bureau of Federal Credit Unions. Less than 2 months later, on August 10, 1934, 52 delegates from 30 state leagues gathered at Estes Park, Colorado, and created the Credit Union National Association, or CUNA. At CUNA's first board meeting, it was agreed that insurance was as fundamental to the movement as savings and credit. With a $25,000 loan from Filene, CUNA Mutual was incorporated on May 20, 1935, to provide insurance to the nation's credit unions. In a building christened Raiffeisen House, they opened for business in Madison, Wisconsin. A year later, CUNA Supply Cooperative was created to provide credit unions with bookkeeping and promotional materials. The movement was well on its way when it suffered a great personal loss. In 1937, Edward Filene, the father of the United States credit union movement, passed away at the age of 77. And sadly, in 1955, pioneers Roy Bergengren and Thomas Doig both passed away. In the 60s, CUNA Mutual dedicated its new headquarters in memory of Roy Bergengren. The Credit Union Managers Society was organized to provide credit unions with networking and educational opportunities. And to help create a worldwide federation, CUNA International replaced the World Extension Department. During the 70s, the independent the World Council of Credit Unions, and the National Credit Union Foundation. And in across the nation. From its very beginnings, the nation's credit union movement has overcome many hardships and obstacles. It has risen from economic oppression. It has beaten the evils of unfair lending practices. It has won its financial independence. And perhaps most importantly, it has ensured financial equality for all Americans, bettering the lives of countless millions. Not for profit, not for charity, but for service.
So, we learned in that presentation about the founding and the founding principles of credit unions. You would have noted that in 1935, credit unions themselves formed the CUNA Mutual Insurance Society. CUNA Caribbean Insurance is a fully owned subsidiary of that organization. And in 1950, CUNA Mutual came to the Caribbean by invitation of the Jamaica League. CUNA Caribbean has since grown to be a regional insurer providing low-cost, easy insurance solutions to the Caribbean's credit union movement. And in so doing, we are able to reach a very broad demographic. Next slide, please. So we provide these low-cost insurance products to credit unions. And from where we sit, we do think we are able to achieve a level of penetration and to reach a number of the underserved. Our products are very simple and easy to understand. No complications. There's a flat premium rate, no medicals, pre-existing exclusions. Our FIP product, no pre-existing exclusions, and very easy to sign up at our credit union partners. So we do believe that our system of insurance with the credit union movement, I think it goes a very long way with regard to the objectives of microinsurance. Next slide, please. So what we do at our organization, we have built a culture around this tagline, for all people. And it's a philosophy that our staff, all our people live by. We believe that everyone should enjoy the comfort of financial security. And with our partners, the credit union movement, we do believe we are able to achieve that objective. On one side, you have the credit union movement providing an avenue for savings, loans, deposits. And in partnership with CUNA Caribbean, you have this access to this protection. And we heard about this morning, this protection, being able to protect your lives, your family's future. And our suite of products do provide that level of reach and affordability to the general population. Next slide. And when we talk about inclusion, what we attempt to show is that everyone is welcome. Our products are available to everyone. So how do we do this? As I've alluded to, as I've shared, we partner with credit unions. From the very founding of CUNA Mutual, the very founding of credit unions, our organization has been focused on people. The credit union movement is often said to be one that is fully focused on people, we think of it as this way: people helping people. In fact, that's one of the cooperative principles. Another one is cooperation amongst cooperatives. And it's by no chance or no mistake that CUNA Caribbean's logo and brand closely resembles that of the credit union movement. As we believe, we do not exist without the movement, and the movement is able to provide a broader range of services to that membership. So our products and services are able to reach the entire demographic of society. There is a plan for everyone. There is a financial cost that everyone is able to allow them to attain our products. Next slide, please. This is just a sample of the suite of our insurance products. And these are all available at our credit union partners. The FIP in particular, we think is one of the most inclusive plans there are. We have from Plan A to Plan G, different price points, no medicals to enter, no pre-existing conditions. Up to 75 years old, you can get cover, same premium rate. It's an excellent plan that has done extremely well across the Caribbean. It has provided tremendous value to both credit unions and their members by virtue of the service we provide, the speed of claim settlement, and of course, the reach across demographic. In fact, as we move along, next slide, I would want to share with you with regard to the COVID-19 pandemic, which again we've heard about and which has touched everyone. It has touched lives, it has touched livelihood. One of the things CUNA Caribbean was able to do with regard to its FIP product was launch a relief fund. And what this fund was aimed at doing was bringing real financial relief to our most valued credit union members and FIP holders. So this fund, we worked with regulators across the region and was able to launch a US $1 million fund across the region. And once an FIP holder met very specific criteria, they were able to avail themselves of this fund. And we've had folks and members across the region accessing this fund, and we pay we pay 6 months premiums once the criteria is met. No other investigation. Once the simple criteria is met, we pay the premiums for up to 6 months. And we have received tremendous feedback about this fund because given the challenges that has been thrusted upon the societies in which we operate, members, people who have FIP, felt this was a very tangible mechanism that CUNA Caribbean and the credit union movement was able to provide to them. Next.
Broadcaster, and I'm here to share my insurance story, and I'm talking about CUNA Insurance, the FIP plan. A lot of Jamaicans, they look at insurance as something, as life after death. They think that when they have an insurance, they're not the one going to benefit from the policy. But insurance is for just the eventuality that you never planned for. And when I heard about the family indemnity plan, courtesy of CUNA Insurance, I said, whoa, if I can have something to safeguard any eventuality, especially death, you know, and instead of running up and down, it makes sense to have this policy, because then many times, especially in Jamaica land we love, we realize that people, when you have a death in your family, you have to be waiting on family abroad to send you something through remittance services, or you have to be waiting to see how you're going to fund your funeral. Within 48 hours, I kid you not, within 48 hours, the check was in my account, and we're able to do all that we needed to do. So there was a policy for everybody. There's a plan for everybody. Anywhere from $422 to a high of $5,280, you can get your family covered. You can cover up to 6 persons with one insurance policy. And at the end of the day, you can take care of all that you need to take care of. FIP plan, is all you need. Trust me. Let's bury our loved ones with some form of dignity. And one way to do that is to have insurance on hand. And one that I want to endorse and fully support is the FIP plan, courtesy of Kuna Insurance. And so I want, get insurance here, get insurance, get Kuna.
So, as you would have heard, through the credit union movement and CUNA Mutual Group, globally and then down into the Caribbean, we have been able to provide accessible, low-cost, easy-to-manage insurance policies for a broad cross-section of our society. And I think this goes a long way in touching and in meeting the needs of the broader society, especially that underserved demographic. As you heard, we have plans that cater to all pockets. And by virtue of how successful the product has been, not only in Jamaica, but across the Caribbean, I think we have validated ourselves the value of the product to both the members and the credit unions. This product, you can get it in any of the OECS jurisdictions, Curacao, Bermuda, Trinidad and Tobago. It's all over the Caribbean. And I think it's done a wonderful job in assisting credit unions and allowing us to continue to partner in the development of that socioeconomic group. So I thank you so much for listening. And now I'd like to hand you over to I'll take any questions if there are, but I also would be handing you over to my colleague, Robin Levy, who would be able to talk to you a little more about the credit union experience in Jamaica. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gwandu. We will take your adjustment to the program because it makes perfect sense. And we now invite Mr. Robin Levy, CEO of Jamaica Credit Union League, to join us on stage. And after he is finished, then Robin and I will sit and we'll talk with Andre, Robin, Alicia, everybody on Zoom, everybody in the room. Robin, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam. Is it Mistress of Ceremonies? I don't know. That doesn't sound right somehow. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robin Levy. I am the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League. And it's my pleasure to be with you today. I want to especially thank Mr. Orville Johnson, Executive Director of the Insurance Association of Jamaica, for inviting myself and Andre to come and make a presentation as to the credit union way of financial inclusion and microinsurance. So, it's interesting watching the video that Andre just showed, because the Jamaican movement, and in fact the Caribbean movement, pretty much mirrors the story you saw there just now. But let me start at the end, which is that there are currently 25 credit unions in Jamaica with just over 1 million members island-wide. Some actually do live overseas. The average member demographic currently, the typical credit union member, I should say then, is female. It's 57% of our population. 50 years old, employed, or operates a micro or small business, and is lower or middle income, and lives in the metropolitan area, of which there are 2, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, and the greater Montego Bay, a large part of St. James to the northwest. 21% though live in large towns, and then of course you'll see that there's a remainder who live in rural or semi-rural areas. In terms of market share, even though when you discount persons under the age of 50 and persons who have left working age above the age of 65, of that remainder, about half are credit union members. We effectively only have about 13% of the loan market. Commercial banks dominate the space with 72%, and building societies with 15%. So these 25 credit unions together, yes, over $1 billion US dollars in terms of assets, still only has 13% of the loan market, and only 13% as well of the personal savings markets. You will note we have excluded commercial loans. Credit unions are, as Andre mentioned, in fact, meant to be people organizations. So a credit union cannot make a loan to a company. You have to be a person to actually be a member of a credit union. A cooperative can join another cooperative. So a cooperative like a fisherman's cooperative could become a member of a credit union. But of course, those cooperatives are also people-based. But credit unions, therefore, are not in line to get deposits or offer products of any kind, really, to corporate entities, and nor can it make loans to them. And this is restrictive, but it in fact keeps us, we would say, within our lane. So what we can conclude from this simple statistic is that our credit unions generally are less wealthy and have multiple financial service providers. I believe something like 95% of all credit union members also have accounts with other financial providers, usually banking. But we are about financial inclusion. The history of Jamaica's credit union, and in fact, CUNA's presence here, CUNA Mutual, CUNA Caribbean's presence here, as I said, very much mimics the US experience. It was started, well, many of you here know, but I'm not sure how many of our international participants know, that 1938 was a very important year in Jamaica's history. Started with labor unrest, riots, civil demonstrations by disgruntled persons who had been excluded from the formal financial sector and the formal political sector. At the time, the average Jamaican couldn't vote. If you weren't of the plantocracy, you were not allowed to vote. It was very difficult to own land. And in fact, most Jamaicans, I would say 90% of the population, had no access to formal financial services, banking services. Effectively, if you're a person of color, you pretty much couldn't vote. And that didn't change until 1944. But out of 1938, grew the first political parties, which still dominate. The People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party were the two first political organizations. The first labor unions were formed in 1938 and 1939. Not surprisingly, the first credit union was formed in 1939 as well. Remember now, at the time, the average Jamaican couldn't go into a bank, wasn't welcome to a bank to open an account, couldn't borrow money, couldn't save safely. And the options for them really were loan sharks, usually members of the same plantocracy who could access formal credit, who would lend to persons at usurious rates, and of course, partner schemes. And we still have partner schemes in Jamaica. They are risky. They do not pay well because there's really no interest component in a partner scheme. And so credit unions were introduced in Jamaica to fill this gap. And again, it had a significant influence from the church, the first, who is considered the father of the Jamaican credit union movement. Was actually a priest, Father John Sullivan. And shortly after the founding of the first credit union in 1939, the credit union movement grew so rapidly that the Credit Union League, which is where I work, was formed in 1941. So this year we actually celebrate our 80th anniversary of serving the credit union movement, which in turn serves the Jamaican population. And also interestingly, CUNA Insurance was brought to Jamaica in 1950. It was actually the first insurance, the first CUNA Insurance country. The first country they went to outside of the United States of America was Jamaica. We were the first globally. And thereafter spread to the rest of the Caribbean and elsewhere in the world. And actually, there is you're not seeing it very clearly on the monitor, I don't think, but that's a bust of Father Sullivan there, which sits in front of our credit union house on just off Morasco Road at 2A Sullivan Avenue. We are very much a people-based organization. Nowadays, financial literacy is considered to be a buzzword, and financial inclusion is the term of art of the day. This is the only reason credit unions were formed in the first place. You will see there that we have once a year a financial reality series where we introduce youngsters to what it really is like to be an adult. The youngsters have a term for it now, adulting, where they're introduced to what it means to pay rent and have groceries and light bills and, you know, how to make a budget and how to live within your means. And we have prizes and gifts and try to make it fun. But it's a very serious matter in which we consider it the financial literacy, which is not taught in schools, and which we are actually advocating to be taught in schools, is promulgated. And it's pretty much acknowledged in Jamaica that credit unions contribute to the economic development of the country. And that's what that article speaks to. It's considered to be a driver of small businesses. Yes, we can't lend to corporations, but what happens is we play in the micro and small end of that MSME scale. Unfortunately, what usually happens is once persons have gotten to a certain size and they want to go further, they incorporate and we lose them as clients to the banks or other entities. So it's an ongoing developmental process, and one that we're quite frankly not afraid to engage in, because that's why we're here, to make people's lives better. Credit unions are not for-profit, people-based organizations. So you would understand if persons have improved their wealth, their profitability, they're going to incorporate, they're going to do other things to move on. We actually celebrate that with them, rather than say, oh, we are fat and foul for mongoose. That's a fairly common Jamaican phrase here. In other words, we're developing persons so that others may benefit. That's actually quite fine with us. But we do hope to put measures in place so that we can retain some of those members and retain some of that business. And we may speak about it a little bit later on. But insurance products figure significantly in credit union offerings. We have loan protection and life insurance, which is with two of the 8 that Andre put up on the screen. And it's important to know that once you're a credit union member, you have this benefit automatically, and it's paid for by the credit union. There are no premium demands on the members themselves. And this covers up to $1.2 million in most credit unions for loans. If you take a loan up to $1.2 million, the phrase of art in credit unions and CUNA is the debt dies with the debtor. So if someone dies or is disabled, unable to work, and therefore meet their obligations of their loans, it's paid for and it's at no cost to the members. That's loan protection. And life insurance does the same thing. It offers, I believe, up to $600,000. It could be more by now, of additional savings on the death or disability of a member. And this is up to age of 70, 60 for disabilities, up to age 70. And as I said, it's free for members and paid for by credit unions. And that's 100% coverage. You should also know that most credit union loans, if not all, insist that there is some element of compulsory savings when you're paying back a loan, usually 5% or some region, somewhere in there. And what this means is that once a person joins a credit union, has savings, they automatically have life insurance. It's limited, true, but they automatically have some element of life insurance. Once you take out a loan, that loan is somewhat insured. It may not be insured for the entire amount, but it's insured for part of the amount. So in the case of death or disability, that does not fall to the estate. The ones who are already grieving are not faced with a bill immediately, once it's within a certain amount. We also have insurance-covered savings. The product is called Golden Harvest. In Jamaica, less than 15% of the population is part of a formal retirement scheme, whether it be a pension plan or approved retirement scheme, even though there are plans afoot to improve this. What this product does actually is offer persons a way to have their own self-directed long-term savings plan, whether it be towards retirement, so you'll understand the pun on golden, and harvest that at the end of a period, usually more than 5 years, but can be as long as 15, 20 years. One may, by either regular payments or ad hoc payments, either are acceptable, develop effectively a retirement plan for themselves or a long-term savings scheme that will pay off at competitive rates, which is also covered by insurance. So if somebody has death or disability and they're saving towards a goal, the goal will be realized through means of this insurance covered savings plan. And I'm just going to really hit on the three largest ones, and the other is the family indemnity plan. I shouldn't say largest, the most popular ones. Family indemnity plan, which again Andre spoke to. You can insure up to 6 of your family members, up to $1 million, and that's each, for as low a premium as $422 Jamaican a month. That's US $3 a month, more or less. But that's only for at the smaller end of the scale. At the larger end of the scale, it's like 5,000 something Jamaican dollars, which is, I'm trying to do the math in my head, 30 US dollars, 30 dollars, a little bit more than that probably, 30, carry 2 zeros. Yeah, about 30 US dollars a month to cover 6 of your family members for $1 million each. And as Andre mentioned, and I'll repeat because it's important, no medical for any of the 6 persons that you want to insure. No pre-existing conditions will rule you out for eligibility. And it's one premium that covers everyone. You don't pay for all 6. You pay one premium, it covers all 6 persons who are covered under the plan. It's an excellent program. And these 2 products, the latter 2, Golden Harvest and Family Indemnity, are also, since they are the members have to pay premiums for those themselves, they don't have 100% coverage, but they do have large penetration. There's competition, of course. Big shout out to Sagicor Life, who are part sponsors of this conference. Thank you for having us. You're somewhat your competitors, to tell you a little bit about what credit unions and CUNA Caribbean offer. There are other banks that offer somewhat comparative products, but we think we have the lowest cost and the least restrictions. And of course, there is a national insurance scheme which does one-off grants for funeral expenses of up to $80,000 once you're a contributor to the scheme. So where do we go from here? What's next for the credit union movement and what's next for CUNA Caribbean in terms of our microinsurance and other products? We plan to increase our marketing. As I mentioned, currently the average credit union member is 50 years old. In many ways, the credit union movement was kept safe. Well, we had our own financial meltdown in Jamaica here in the 1990s, where we had a significant fallout of our indigenous banking sector when there was an interest rate shift and a lot of positions were left uncovered. And in fact, the banking sector shrank by about 30% over the course of 5 or 6 years in the mid-1990s, early to mid-1990s. During that period, like in the US, credit unions actually grew. Credit unions grew by approximately 40% over that same period, primarily because we stuck to what we do best. No commercial loans, no speculative investments, really just lending to grassroots persons who are doing grassroots things. That had served us well in the past, but as our population somewhat ages, we find Gen Zs, Gen Xs, millennials aren't going to stand in a credit union line for 1 hour to sign a stack of documents, read and sign a stack of documents, or wait for 1 hour to meet a loan officer who will then quiz them for an hour about something. Everything has to be done online, real time, and that's where we have to go. So the idea is to appeal to a younger demographic. We are in fact currently reshaping the credit union image and branding. I don't know how many of us Jamaicans here have seen the FIMI Credit Union, FIMI Family, or in English, My Credit Union, My Family campaign, which has been launched this year by Credit Unions of Jamaica to appeal to a younger demographic, to also roll out the fact that many credit unions now offer many of their services online, and that we therefore are very much committed to playing for the long-term future of the credit union movement. But that doesn't mean we're going to abandon our core demographic. We'll continue to use our network of credit unions. There are over 100 credit union branches island-wide. many located in rural and semi-rural areas, townships, cities across Jamaica. We're going to continue to use that to encourage servicing and outreach of all our products, including our insurance products. And we're going to refocus on micro and small loans, small business loans. Yes, those loans usually have higher delinquency rates, but they have a part to play in the improvement of Jamaica's economy, not to mention significant employment in Jamaica's economy. And also to look at other value-added products, including insurance. And of course, the League is going to partner with CUNA Mutual. Andre and I have regular conference calls to discuss what's next and what plans we have and how we can work together for the development of new products and service offerings. Very much, there is nothing we're going to do in the credit union movement in which we don't involve CUNA Caribbean. The LP and LS are an inherent part of a staple in what we do and our product offerings, and we intend to continue this partnership for the long-term foreseeable future. You know, the credit union logo, and you'd have seen it in some of those videos, usually has a man holding an umbrella. But frankly, we think of insurance more like a parachute. And like a parachute, if it doesn't work the first time, it's absolutely worthless. But we found that our insurance and our partnership with CUNA has worked and will continue to work and opens every time. And I thank you for your time and attention. And now we'll take questions, I guess.
You'll come over here and sit with me in the chair. Yeah, we'll bring you a microphone. Thank you very much, Robin Levy. And Andre is back. You can sit over there. Andre is back with us. Hi, Andre. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, except you said I need to go to the gym.
No.
That wasn't what you were.
General quest.
Okay, sure. That the gym. You're correct, though. The gym is a good policy for those of us who have what's now termed COVID weight. Do you have any of that, Robin?
I think he was talking to all of us, not just you.
That wasn't the question, Robin.
Sorry, what?
You get fat or not from you put on weight?
I'm in shape. Round is a shape.
I agree. Okay, so remember, if you have questions for Robin or for Andre, please be sure to put your hand up and we'll come to you with the microphone. And if you have questions on Zoom, please also share them with us. The video that you shared earlier, Andre, giving that history of let me just turn off the sound on this here so that you don't get the feedback. Perfect. Okay. The video that you shared earlier, I will say that I learned a lot through that video, and it is interesting to me what the credit union has been doing. It's almost as though you've been tapping into a market that we are over the last 11 years or so through insurance we've been tapping into slowly but surely. I'm curious how you think, or can you juxtapose microinsurance, credit union for us, and how you think our efforts are going on the insurance side?
So, microinsurance kind of has fluid boundaries.
Right.
So we consider really all of our products to be microinsurance just because of their price points and their wide range of accessibility, even to most underserved members of Jamaica's economy. Mm-hmm. This was not usually a profitable line of business for most insurance companies back in the day. But of course, as the numbers have grown, as technology has improved, there are easier ways to onboard clients, and the cost of acquisition of new customers is lower. We have seen more entities enter into things like crop insurance, farmers insurance, and so on, which is very hopeful and is very positive for the economy going forward.
Do you have anything to add to that, Andre?
I would add that the insurance programs that we've discussed, the margins are razor thin. Obviously, we've talked about the price point. We've talked about the restrictions, which there are almost no restrictions other than age 75, 76. So the margins are razor thin. But if you look at the founding of the credit union system and you look at the fact that CUNA Mutual is actually a result of that, you would understand why we do what we do. Credit unions are a member-owned organization. What do I mean by that? Credit unions are not serving some individual that walks off of the street. You become a member, you become an owner of that organization. You share in the benefits and the returns of that organization by virtue of the results of that organization annually. Credit union members do not earn interest. They earn dividends that are declared based on the annual profits of that organization. There's an AGM like any other corporate entity. Members are able to elect their board of directors from their peers, who then hires management, who obviously works to serve the membership. So it's a member-owned organization. CUNA Caribbean, as part of that model, operates obviously in that space, reaching a broad demographic. So you have from, in terms of economic status, you would find the entire range within credit unions. You have credit unions that serve large corporate entities to just some community credit unions who serve everyone, the average guy on the street. So from my perspective, I agree with Robin. Microinsurance sounds right up our alley. That's one. Two, razor thin margins. But again, we're able to achieve scale by virtue of the size of the credit union movement.
Yeah, the credit union, I'm always interested in the fact that it's called the credit union movement. Why is that?
Because we move together.
Right.
So even this campaign we've launched recently, which is My Credit Union, My Family, we do operate as a family. So it's all about democratic membership and ownership. As Andre said, when you join a credit union and become a part owner of the credit union, now there's no sense in you owning an organization, and the point of that organization is to make as much money from you as possible. That's like taking from one of your pockets to put in another one of your pockets. That's a no-sum game. The object is really to improve your financial standing. So however we can do that, whether it be by lower interest rates, better savings rates, or dividends, or just providing insurance services at a lower price point, it's about benefiting the member. So you have that at the very bottom level. Now all the credit unions in Jamaica together own the Credit Union League. And the Credit Union League operates as the umbrella organization for all 25 credit unions. So everything we do, I have 15 board members from 15 different credit unions that I report to. And the idea is we move together, we plan together, we act together. So it is very much a movement, and that's what it's called internationally, and it's very much what we call it in the Caribbean and in Jamaica.
Now, can I ask both of you, from a Caribbean perspective, where this conference is really the Jamaican perspective, from a Caribbean perspective specifically now, do you find that people are still finding credit unions the answer, or still turning to credit unions? Could more be done where that is concerned, especially for the younger demographic? I'll start with you, Andre.
Well, I think Robin addressed that, and I agree. You made reference to the younger demographic. Robin referenced the average age of a credit union member or owner being around 50. So one of the challenges that credit unions face, not just here in Jamaica, the Caribbean, but it's a global challenge. It's how do you attract a younger membership? And Robin talked about it. Does a younger individual, whichever generation we make reference to, are they going to go into a credit union, stand up in a line for an hour, sign a ton of documents? So really, for credit unions, it's about leveraging technology and moving with the times. So those are many of the initiatives that Robin and his team and I've seen across the region, and we support wherever we can. Robin talked about a marketing program. These are some of the ways we work with credit unions, whether it's marketing programs, whether it's training programs for their members. So I do agree that there is a challenge attracting younger members. But having said that, it's not that credit unions have given up, because there is a younger demographic in credit unions. It's just I think we need to do more to get the tech savvy to join credit unions.
Right, but we do place a lot of emphasis on digitization and on technology. We meet millennials where they are, which is on their phone 24/7 with their neck bowed, looking at TikTok and Instagram and so on. This is how this is how they live, including my children. But is there there are some things that were said today about credit unions and the credit union movement that I don't know. So is it also not just marketing and technology-driven push, but is it also about education, you think?
So the least sexy word in English language is probably education.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say credit union.
No, oh, come on now. Credit unions are sexy once you get to know them. Yes, we have significant educational outreaches and programs. You join a credit union, you actually are encouraged to learn about credit union movement and what it means to be a credit union member and so on. It's not as easy a sell as, some con man who's going to tell you to tithe 10% and, economic wealth will flow to you like a river. Mm-hmm. We have to speak about facts. We have to teach about, prudent borrowing. We have to talk about, save today for tomorrow. The messages can be very boring. We have to find a way to make them a little bit more hip. But just to speak to something else that you touched upon, could we be doing a better job? Here's one of the problems credit unions have. Again, when I speak to that 30% of market share that we have, and it's 25 credit unions who share this, you realize that the largest credit union is smaller than the smallest bank in Jamaica. But the same operating system to operate the largest bank in Jamaica, you need to operate the smallest credit union. So our costs relatively are high. How much money then is left to market, to go digital platforms, to appeal to younger demographics who are not going to be that profitable at first? Mm-hmm. These are questions we battle with every day. But again, the issue is not about making as much money as possible. So we do have to go there, and we are committed to going there.
Yeah, I hear you. I do agree with you. I think though that marketing sells everything, and I think there is some scope for that. Especially, do you see more synergies happening with credit union leagues, credit unions across the Caribbean, to maybe push this forward where we are at?
So actually there's quite a bit of synergy across the Caribbean. Andre can probably speak to it more than I can. CUNA Caribbean, for example, covers every region: Trinidad, Barbados, Eastern Caribbean. They're all over. And we have a Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions where we, again, collaborate, share ideas, we even share services and so on. Can we do more? Absolutely. Is our marketing great? We're trying to get there. Maybe we might have to hire you. Yeah.
My boss.
Let's talk to her about it.
Is Mark still here?
The boss is here.
One of them.
Oh, I see.
I call everyone my boss because I just do what they tell me to do a lot of the time. I'm sure this is the sentiment of the two of you as well, especially operating credit unions. Are there any final words from either of you, or would you like to take that as well, Andre, the synergies across the Caribbean? Andre, did you hear me?
Can you repeat that? It's breaking up.
I'm so sorry. So I wanted to know if
Can you please repeat?
I wanted to know if you see any further synergies to advance the credit union movement across the Caribbean, linking up with your fellow credit union members or operators of credit unions so that we can advance the movement across the Caribbean.
Well, you made reference to the word movement, and as Robin indicated, it is indeed a movement. It's a Caribbean movement, It's a movement of people. We do have regional structures. Robin referenced the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions. I happen to be a board member on that organization. And that is kind of like the Caribbean League of leagues. So we do have a very strong Caribbean structure that ties back to the global system, which is governed by the World Council of Credit Unions. So I think we have some very strong structures in place. I think there is tremendous cooperation across the region, and credit unions in different jurisdictions are able to learn and partner from each other, share services. So I do think that augurs very well for the continued development and the future of the organization. So I think that will be my closing point there.
You have any final words, Robin? No. You both of you were very thorough. So we don't have any questions from our live audience. So I thank you very much. Both of you, Andre, thank you for joining us. Robin, thank you very much for joining us as well. We will take another break, and then we will come back with our final segment, which is just ladies. No. You can stay and watch us ladies as we speak. Again, Andre, I don't really understand how this is going to work. We're going to present Robin with a gift, right? And then, I don't know, I feel sorry for you. I feel like we should have thought about this. Giving you an Amazon gift card or something. Something digital. FedEx.
I am very happy to be here with you. This is my gift. I am very pleased and honored to be here.
Thank you very much. However, yeah, but you're going to get the gift. Please stand, sir, as we present you with a gift courtesy of the Insurance Association of Jamaica and the entire conference. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your presence. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you very much. All right, so we'll take another break, and then we'll come back with our final segment, not to be missed, on digitization, financial inclusion, and microinsurance.
My credit union is my family. See me credit union, that I feel me family. Financially, you wanna grow. Happy grow. There's just one place to go. Family. Loans and savings insured. Protection for your family. Borrow what you need without touching your savings. That's what you get with family. You are safe for your home of a shop. Need a loan, one that car for your own. You're never alone. Just turn to your family. Turn a credit union and follow it.
Is Andrew Wright, and I live for my family. My illness took away the opportunity to go to special family occasions. I was sick in the hospital, I couldn't be part.
I had a really good time tonight.
So did I.
Life moves fast. Be prepared with Sagicor Life. Learn more at sagicor.com.